Kenya and North Africa relations are bilateral relations between Kenya and South Africa. South Africa is a strategic partner of Kenya in many areas, particularly trade and security. During South Africa's apartheid regime, cordial relations with Kenya were maintained, as Kenya was one of Africa's leading pro-Western governments. These relations weren't publicized and didn't go beyond trade until 1990. In November 1990, South Africa's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Pick Botha, visited Kenya in the first publicized ministerial-level contact between the two countries since 1960. Relations were further consolidated when President de Klerk visited Kenya in June 1991, and Kenyan President Daniel Arap Moi visited Cape Town in June 1992. The first visit to South Africa by an African head of state. Kenya's government failed to exert enough pressure against South African regime over its apartheid policy for many years in various international fora. While Kenya supported OAU resolutions which prohibited any kind of interaction with South Africa, prominent government officials still continued to act in a way which compromised its position. It is suggested that Kenya heavily relied on European partners for trade, so it couldn't fully comply with the OAU's resolutions. Others claim that it Kenya's principle of non-interference which limited Kenya from playing a more robust role in South Africa's liberation struggle. The history of relations is that Kenya, compared to Tanzania for example, was not very supportive of the South African liberation struggle. It was against this background that relations between South Africa and Kenya were not very warm during the early days of post-apartheid. Relations have gradually improved. President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya has visited Pretoria, on official capacity. Jacob Zuma has also visited Nairobi. In early 2013, Kenya and South Africa were said to be working on a preferential trade agreement that could eliminate administrative barriers and boost exchange of goods and services between the two nations. A joint trade committee was formed in 2011 to resolve trade barriers. South Africa has increased its chunk of Kenya's market in the last 10 years to become the fifth largest source of imports after shipping in $73.8 billion, $810 million, worth of goods in 2011. In comparison, official statistics showing that Kenya only managed to export just $2.8 billion, $31 million, over the period. However, the rapid growth of imports from South Africa is driven mainly by demand, not cordial bilateral relations. Numerous South African companies have operations in Kenya. They operate in sectors such as banking, insurance, accountancy, pharmaceuticals, retail, tourism, and engineering. First Rand Bank, Standard Bank, Old Mutual and SAB Miller are just some of the major South African firms with operations in Kenya. Kenya has a high commission in Pretoria. South Africa has a high commission in Nairobi.